We got this one from the Daily Mail. The Austin Metcalf conspiracy theory destroyed by spokesman for Killer Boy, whose family can no longer go outside. Okay, this is a weird way to phrase the story, but for many of you, you may have seen this. It's a story of Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. Now, when I heard that Carmelo Anthony stabbed a high school athlete, I was shocked. That a former NBA player would go to a high school and stab a kid. But in fact, this is a different Carmelo Anthony. He's got his name's after the K and not a C. Okay. Yeah, and some people were like, "You hear about Carmelo Anthony stabbing that guy?" I was like, "What?
Whole time. Yeah.
That NBA dude?"
Yeah.
Okay, so this story is really crazy. Right now, the big controversy is that GoFundMe, not GoFundMe, GiveSendGo, is running a fundraiser for. Let me see if I can find the GiveSendGo for Carmelo. People are demanding that it, is this it right here? Help Carmelo official fund. Yup. Look at this right here. $293,417 raised for Carmelo. It's the official support fund for his family. People are demanding on the right that GiveSendGo be boycotted because they should not be allowing this killer to raise money, and the money should go to the victims. Jacob Wells, who I believe he's a co-founder of GiveSendGo, he says people are mad about our stance to allow Carmelo Anthony family a campaign on GiveSendGo, and I get it. It's a horrible situation. There are even calls for a boycott. But because I know a similar scenario will happen again for someone on the right, and our competitor won't allow them a campaign even though it is a legal endeavor, people will be back to using GiveSendGo because we are the only fundraising platform that truly stands on freedom and principle.
I want to meet that guy. That CEO, that sounds very cool.
So Gunther Engelman says it's sickening. The money should go to the victim's family. And some people are defending him, while others are saying they ban groups that support physical violence of any kind. Okay, so I've read this story and I've covered it. And I am actually shocked to find that so many conservatives are demanding the money be rescinded. I don't get it.
No, they're not raising money for violence. He's raising money for
legal defense.
Yeah, legal defense. It's different.
The official story, as per witnesses in the police report, there was I think they have a photo of the tent actually in this article. We can use that because that matters. Here's it's Kai Kindle Stadium in Frisco, Texas. Here's a tent. You can see it's cordoned off. So apparently there was an argument between Carmelo Anthony, who was from a rival school, who was there, and there were a bunch of kids from this town or whatever. And they got into an altercation. They told him he wasn't supposed to be there. Apparently they had words. Carmelo Anthony pulled a knife out from his bag and said, "Touch me and see what happens." Witnesses said either he was touched or grabbed. They were different witness accounts, but that Austin Metcalf did put hands on Carmelo, who then stabbed him once in the chest before running away. According to police, Carmelo Anthony, when he got apprehended or turned himself in, however the story goes, I mean, different accounts, he asked if Austin was going to be okay and said it was self-defense. He said he grabbed me and I said self-defense. The family is arguing it was self-defense. It's strange to me that with this story, the right is adamant that this kid just killed another kid and he should go to prison forever. And I'm like, we don't even know what happened. Like, you've got witness testimony that sounds like a fight happened at a school. Then I've heard the argument, yeah, well, he shouldn't have had a knife. He brought a knife to a school, and it's like, okay, what kind of knife was it? Was it a utility knife? Was it a switchblade? Was it a machete? Like, did he have a steak knife? Was he coming back from culinary class where he had fine Japanese blades for cutting cucumbers? I have no idea. You're allowed to carry knives I'm pretty sure in Texas, especially if it's like a utility blade. You're also not allowed to grab people. So the crazy thing about this story is that people are demanding GiveSendGo take down a fundraiser. I'm like, what is this? GoFundMe? No. But I also want to say to Jacob Wells, why is he acting like I can't do it because someone on the right will have... No. If I was CEO, I'd come out and be like, I don't care what you think. Bye. Boycott me. Go away. It's a legal matter. It's going to go to the courts. A jury's going to figure it out, and people can raise money for legal defense. Thank you. Bye.
I think what Jacob Wells is doing is noble, and that it's important that we have a neutral fundraising platform for crowdfunding. And if GiveSendGo is going to lead the charge on that, I'm happy to support them.
Yeah, I think it's sad how, like, this story, is really just getting people to the point of this racial thing that the father was trying to stop. Like, people are angry because the father came out and says, he's trying to forgive the kid who killed his son. And I did a video, where I was pretty much appreciating the father doing that, because as a Christian, it's like forgiveness is something you're supposed to be doing, right? The Lord, when he was on the cross, says, forgive them, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So I just think it's sad, man. These are two young people. One's probably going to go to prison. I don't know. Like you said, we'll see, let the courts play it out. The other one is no longer here, and it's sad. You have this father who's trying to bring people together and tell people, it wasn't racially motivated, right? But you have two sides who are just, it's nasty, man. It's gotten nasty. Like,
so people are saying that Texas schools ban weapons. Okay. I'm just saying, like, why are people acting like this is a case where a dude showed up to murder somebody? It's like a dude shouldn't have had a weapon, so he's gonna get some kind of like manslaughter charge or something like that. And then the fight broke out, and it shouldn't have happened. I got to be honest. I get it. It's a bad story. I don't know why people are losing their minds over it.
Yeah.
Well, the racial component is why. People.
I guess
people want to jump in and take sides, and they want to, if they've got a preconceived notion about another group of people, they're just like, oh, well, that's how.
I mean, like, certain stories become memes in of themselves.
Oh yeah,
and let me clarify what I'm saying. It's that every single day I see like 12 stories like this. So when the story popped up, I was like, why is this story like the meme? Like, why is this the
his
story?
name's Carmelo Anthony, probably.
Yeah, maybe because of viral search trends. Because I mean, we got stories in Baltimore and DC are right here, dude. You want to Google such a story about a white kid who got stabbed to death by a black guy? You can.
I'll tell you. Hey,
go to Chicago. It happens every day.
Military tactic for our adversaries. You use artificial intelligence or just farms of dudes to repost and racially inflame in the comments and make it look like it's a bigger deal than it is, to displace our consciousness here in the United States, to make us hate each other. Like, so we got to be real careful that we're attuned to that.
Right, and that's something that I definitely see happening. A big part of my platform, I don't know if you guys know, but I went, actually the first time or the second time I went viral, but this video blew up, was when I did a video with my daughter on critical race theory, right? And the things that were taking place in the schools and how young white kids were being told that they're inherently racist. They were born racist. And young black kids were being told that, no matter what they do in America, people are always going to, do this to them and not allow them to prosper because of their skin color, right? And one of my things has been, just trying to break that down, man, and break those barriers and show people that race is not as big as we make it. Democrats have kept racism alive in America. It was on life support. And now I feel like when things like this happen or stories like this happen, it seems like a lot of people on the right are now trying to bring race to the forefront. And it's like, dude, listen, we can talk about, what's going on in each race and all that. We can do that. But why can't we do it civilly? Why do we have to, get on these platforms and just hate each other,
I figured, I'm reading the chats. I understand what everyone's saying that I didn't understand about the story. When laws are passed banning weapons from zones like a weapon-free zone, you're not allowed to bring them there. And if a fight breaks out, you can't use them. That's why he's going to jail.
Okay.
So, like, weapon-free zones, you don't bring weapons there.
Yeah.
Like, self-defense is not going to apply to a weapon-free zone. If you bring a weapon to a place where they tell you can't have weapons, your self-defense argument's not going to apply.
Yeah, and in Texas, they have two different, there are two different signs. Like, they can have a sign that says you're not allowed to conceal, and they have signs that say you're not allowed to open carry. And if they post either of them, you're required to abide by what the store or the property owner says.
Okay.
Right. So regardless of what the circumstances around, like, the guy's character, because people are saying, like, he skipped school, he wasn't supposed to be there. Right, but that's not going to play out in a court.
Yeah, he's just a geek.
If you go into an area where they've banned weapons and you bring a weapon, you have no self-defense argument if someone puts their hands on you, okay?
Gotcha.
You can't do that.
What you were saying, Kory,
if you're in a school and someone grabs you and you're armed, you have no Second Amendment rights. It's null. You're not going to be able to argue that. The law is the law. You can't defend yourself.
Yep.
Well, you can. You just can't use the weapon.
Okay, legally. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what it is he brought a weapon into a no weapons allowed area, and then when the guy put his hands on him, whether it was touching or grabbing, he's not no claim of self-defense.
Interesting.
So,
I was in kind of to wrap up what you're saying about racism. Like, I think I'm with you. I think it's interesting to talk about the differences of just our ancient history, like our ancestors' genetics, and like that's the literal differentiations between our physiologies is cool. And to have that normal conversation and just be like, oh, awareness, I love that. And if we could like do that rationally as a culture, because then like the other stuff is like, yeah, everyone's different. We're all very similar. We're all different. There it is. Like we all have eyeballs.
I think people were basically, well, a few people, not a lot of people, but when I posted this story, I had a few people in the comments who were saying I was only defending the father's actions because the killer was black and he would make black people, this makes black people look bad. Or it makes us look bad. He said it makes you guys look bad. And I'm like, who's you guys? Like your people. And I'm like, who's my people? My people are Christians.
I love that. Yeah.
It's not a skin color. None of that. All that's irrelevant. I have brothers who are Asian. I have brothers who are white. I have brothers who are black. I have brothers who are Hispanic. Right? That's my people.
Well, I just got to say right now, guys in the chat, it's a bit histrionic. I don't know what I don't know. There's no coherent response now because now everyone's angry saying that's not true. You have a right to defend yourself no matter what. Well, no. He went to a school with a weapon. You can't bring weapons to schools in any capacity. That's why this is not a case of self-defense. But now people are arguing, saying it's wrong. It's a stand your ground state. And even if you're at a school, you have a right to defend yourself. Some people are saying you have no right to use lethal force if someone is shoving you, while others are also claiming you do. So you guys work it out in the chat. I'm going to say you're all right. You're all right. Everybody is correct in this regard. It's Schrodinger's self-defense. If the Democrats and Republicans if it's a Democrat or Republican state, regardless, and they pass a bill saying we ban weapons, then you simultaneously do and do not have a claim of self-defense. You simultaneously do and do not have a right to defend yourself using any force necessary to protect yourself from perceived bodily harm. And everyone's just angry about this story. So
yes,
whatever the issue is, you're all correct.
Anger is normal.
Everyone's right.
Yes. Confusion leads to madness, which can lead to anger. Get used to it. Or just
remember
understand why you're confused.
There's that famous story in Texas, I think it was Texas, where they banned, there was some kind of handgun ban. I can't remember, maybe it was Texas. But I was in Chicago, and there was a gun rights rally, and some woman was speaking. I think it was at like the Daily Center. And her story was, and you guys in the chat probably know what the story is. She had her handgun in her car, and she went into the restaurant, and normally she could bring it in with her, but they passed a law saying she couldn't. And then someone started shooting, and she had no access to her weapon because it was in her vehicle, so she couldn't defend herself. And it's like a very famous gun rights activist woman who tells this story all the time. And this is the argument people have for the Second Amendment doesn't stop because someone declares they can put up a sign saying, we don't allow weapons in this place. So I do think there is an issue of it depends on what the knife was. It's not so much whether he had a knife or didn't. Unless if it's a knife ban zone, then the state's going to do what they want. They're going to say we ban weapons. There's no self-defense claim here. But usually, what would happen is if he had an illegal knife, like something actually designed for combat or a weapon, and threatened him with it, then you're not getting off.
As opposed to like a butter knife from the cafeteria.
Well, not a butter knife, but like a utility knife.
Could have done it with a butter knife if you do it right. It would have been harder, but. If he did it with like a legal knife that was on the property and he pulled out a knife that he's allowed to have, what
legal is an issue here because certain knives may be illegal, but they're intended for inflicting bodily harm on somebody. Like if you have a utility knife, like a Leatherman or something, that's not intended to hurt somebody. If you have a switchblade, they're going to say you had a weapon with the intent to commit harm.
And also, if you have a dull blade, but you use it threateningly, you've turned it into a weapon, like a shovel. You might just have a shovel, but if you go to hit somebody or you get somebody with it, you've created, that's a lethal weapon, you gotta be. So the chat is split between they want to unsubscribe because they want me to be angrier, and also I'm wrong and should advocate for the right to defend yourself by any means necessary, stand your ground, even if it's a knife or a firearm. I gotta say, talk about a collective chat of superhumans.
This is my main point about this story that I understand. That people are angry saying that this guy, for one, shouldn't have a legal defense. And I'm like, I don't care if he does. Like, they tried taking away Kyle Rittenhouse legal defense. GiveSendGo is going to allow anybody to raise money. Okay, and then the issue is, do you have a right to use weapons to defend yourself, yes or no? And yes in this case, no in this case. I got no idea what these people are advocating for.
Yeah, like if he picked up a cafeteria tray, is that legal? Like,
Well,
what
I mean, it was on school property, so the school likely had a no weapons policy. I don't know, and I don't know what this actually turns into legally. I'm just talking about like the general rules that you see in places like this. He had, the school probably had a no weapons policy. Most schools do. So if it is a situation of, if you have a weapon in a place where you're not supposed to have weapons, therefore you can get charged with something that normally wouldn't be a charge, that's possible. But again, I don't know the legality in Texas. I don't know what the specific rules are when it comes to where they were or what. So
yeah, because you could see that just having the weapon means that there's intent. Just
I
bringing
think
the weapon.
I think the bigger picture is my confusion on this is why it became such the biggest story. It was on Fox News. They ran the story several times, and I was just like, yeah, it's a tragedy. I mean, I wish it didn't happen. This is terrible. I think that the dude's going to get probably some kind of manslaughter or something like that. I doubt he'll get premeditated or passion murder. But you want to Google it? You'll find 12 stories right now that are identical in a bunch of different places. That's why I'm like, why is everybody so hot over this? Like, they're going after the founder of
Carmelo
GiveSendGo.
Anthony went number 3 overall, baby.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was good. He was really good.
Well,
Good for Carmelo Anthony.
To see the co-founder of GiveSendGo have to come out and defend his platform because they're calling for a boycott of GiveSendGo, I'm like, even if this is like a cut and dry, the kids get locked up, why are people saying don't allow him a fundraiser for legal defense?
I put those people on blast. I think I want to hear from them. Like, if you're gonna call for this guy to shut down somebody's free speech and opportunity to work within the commons to provide for legal defense, you need to back up why you think that, because that's antithetical to the United States Constitution.
Yeah, it's a sad story, man. Rest in peace to Austin Metcalf. I'm glad that his father came out and said what he said, trying to bring unity to the country and not further divide us. Like, in that moment, he could have said something entirely different than what he said, right? And he could have pushed the racial thing and the racial narrative that this was racially motivated, but he didn't,
Yeah, we have one super chat. Reality is Hard says possessing a weapon on school grounds in Texas is a separate third-degree felony.
Ah.
Yeah, you have no right to bear weapons of any kind at schools. They've made it illegal.
Yeah.
And the Second Amendment is up for a vote. And we voted that you have no right to bear arms of any kind, whatever they may be. If we vote, you have no right to do it. So the Second Amendment doesn't exist.
Man, it's like a moral argument, because I don't want kids getting into fisticuffs and one of them pulling out a weapon.
Right.
If I can somehow legislate or come in as like an overlord or like a principal and say, hey, no weapons, just so you guys, no weapons. You can fight. Don't fight, but
Don't fight.
yeah, don't fight. But
You shouldn't really say that you can
I'm not,
fight.
I'm
Like,
not
that
telling
should
them
be
to.
against the rules as well.
It is, but at least no one's going to get killed.
Right.
Hopefully.
Well, I mean,
You get punched once and then you could die.
yeah, it's less likely.
Yeah, I've seen a guy
but
body slam a kid, and you can definitely.
Yeah,
that is
some
not
dude-
good.
Exactly. You pick someone up and you throw them on the ground. They hit their head, and they may never get up.
But a weapon.
But
man,
I'm
that is
on
just
board.
no good.
Y'all have convinced me. I am on board. No more Second Amendment. Just, we voted it out. We say you're not allowed to have weapons. And I'm not saying specifically to this case with this kid, but y'all are the people that are saying he shouldn't have had a weapon. It's a weapon-free zone. Correct. From now on, no one's allowed to have guns. If we vote, you can't have
Are
them.
kids allowed to have weapons, guns?
Second Amendment says they can. Go back 200 years, and parents, a dad would give his 13-year-old son the rifle to go out. They had guns in kitchens. So if you go to, I think Stonewall Jackson's house is like 15 minutes from here, and you can do a tour of the house, and they have a musket on the wall in the kitchen. And when they're giving the tour, they explain what they would do for dinner is they would open the back door, grab the musket, load it up, and stand there and wait. And then they would blast a critter, walk over, grab it, and throw it in the stew. I was like, what? No, yeah. They'd stand out there and wait for a groundhog or something. Bam! And then they'd pick it up, pull out the round, and then gut it and throw the meat into the stew.
I'm a big
Backyard varmint.
fan of the North, the Union, but Stonewall Jackson was the man. I don't know much about his personal life, but he was a great general. Or I guess he was second in command. Was he a general? He was General Lee's like number 2 guy. When Stonewall Jackson got killed by his own men, coming back from like a sortie, he was going in to spy. He came back, they couldn't tell who he was, and they shot him. They accidentally killed him. That was the South lost the war after that. He was like the guy. He was the driving nail of that army.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.